C1 with the super chat says, "Do y'all think that Jay-Z lost his flow? I've noticed that he's doing more of the talking rap style now. That happened to Prodigy after Murder Music, and it seems like he lost his flow. I'm glad. You know what?
Mm.
This is kind of like that Alicia Keys epiphany I had back in the day where
Oh, don't
I
start.
no no no
Oh my
where
God.
I knew that she was singing out of tune, but I never said anything because I thought maybe I was crazy. But when I heard, I told this story on the show before. This is when one of my homies was dating a singer that was signed to Neo's team or whatever, and you know she's a singer. She's in the studio all the time. We were in the grocery store or something, and they were playing an Alicia Keys song, and she said, "How do they let her get away with singing off out of key like that and off out of tune like that?" And I was like, "Word, I feel you." I knew I wasn't crazy. I feel the same way about this comment because I was listening to 444 and I felt that way, but I was like, man, maybe I'm just being too picky. I don't know, man. The flow ain't the same. And and listening to the blueprint the other day, that was one of the big things that Jay was heralding himself on, as he should, that his flow is in pocket. I don't have any proof of that in today's time because a lot of the stuff is kind of a talking flow. Are you hearing that?
I mean, first of all, I've always heard that. What the hell do y'all think friend or foe is?
Well, no, 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 no. Friend of foe
No,
is
he
him
talking on
changing
friend
it
or foe.
up.
Like, he ain't rapping. That ain't no flow.
No,
So
I
when
feel
people are
you,
saying that,
but he was trying something different and he showed you on other records that he had the flow. I don't know if he's showing us on any records right now that that flow is in pocket like it once was.
I mean, Mike, practice makes perfect. And when you don't practice, like, yeah, you're going to lose some things. That's why I was kind of speaking to Meth. You know, Meth sound the way he sounds. His flow still sounds silky. It still sounds slick. It still sounds effortless. Because that motherfucker be going to work, Mike. You go to work.
That might be your answer to the Inspector Deck thing too. Like Inspector's been putting out a lot of music as of late, and that's probably why he sounds so good. You're practicing. You're in practice.
You're informed.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the NBA. It's called being in game shape, Mike.
Now,
You know, like hold on, Mike. Like, let's be honest. We're about to do this cipher. I know you've been practicing.
I have, you know,
So, Mike,
but
so have I, because we don't rap on a regular basis anymore. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right,
You're damn right we're practicing. We don't do this regularly anymore. But
right.
here's what I mean about the respect of it. And I do want to bring this up to Jay, about Jay and about the Kendrick thing. Look here, Mike. What we doing to prepare for this cipher made me realize, Mike, if I wanted to, I could still make a song or two a week if I wanted to. A week. And I'm talking on my schedule, Mike. I could still record a song or two a week. So, like, when niggas don't be rapping and acting like they don't have time to rap, I don't be wanting to hear that shit. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think
So it's like,
Kendrick's just not inspired, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't even think this current album was something that he really wanted to make. He just knew it was time and he had to put something out. But yeah, I just don't think Kendrick's inspired. And I think you kind of hit
ain't
the
nobody
nail
trying.
on the head
That's what I'm
about
saying,
Jay.
Mike. No, I hear what you're saying. Listen to what I'm saying. They got lives where they can fly anywhere in the world and see whatever they want to see. I don't want to hear that I ain't inspired shit either. Not like from you, but it's like I'm sick of giving people like excuses. It's like, no, no, no. You got a whole lifestyle. Like, Mike, some of the bars that I've been freestyling, like from what I see when I'm writing, no, stop that. They not
I mean,
inspired.
you can still
No,
get
you know,
writer's block. I mean, it can still happen. I mean, but
no, not the
as
real
far
writers.
as Jay goes,
Not the real writers. No, not the real writers for this long. No, it doesn't.
I think as far as Jay goes, though, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, man. Jay is a family man at this point. He's done
Yeah,
everything, as far as rap goes. He's handling business,
yeah,
and making an album is just not at the top of mind for him. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fine. But when it's on the top of the mind of the person that you've been compared to closely for like the last 20 years, it's like ain't nobody trying to hear that I'm not inspired shit. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't nobody really want to hear that at the end of the day.
Well, you
It's
know
like,
what's
nigga, you got it or
interesting,
you don't.
man?
You got it or you don't.
You know what's
Like, what we doing?
interesting? Ti, I don't know if you heard when Ti gave it up to Wayne and said, "Look, he basically said Wayne. I'm paraphrasing here. Is a better rapper than him because he wanted it,
He is.
and
He's right.
and because he put in the work and put in the time. Now,
He's
if
right.
Jay were to come forth and say that about Nas at this point, I would totally get it and totally respect that. I don't think that's gonna happen.
That'll
But
never happen.
I
That'll never
don't
happen.
think
That'll
that's
never happen.
gonna happen.
Hold your breath.
But
Hold your
at
breath on
this
that.
point, I mean, as hip hop fans, you just gotta, face what it is. When somebody's beating you at that point, they're beating you. It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with
It's
that,
not.
but the
It's not.
evidence
It's
is
not even
there.
that type of. No, it's not even that type of competition. That's why I go to
Yeah.
the inspiration. It's like no. It's like operate on your level.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me get to these super chats real quick. 36 Chambers says, anytime Eminem, Alicia Keys, and John Legend come up, I wait for the mic hate. Man, come on, man. I ain't that bad. Listen.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all know y'all don't listen to John Legend's music. I'm trying to act like I'm crazy. Like, yeah, after the first two albums, ain't nobody listening to this.
First of all, when we're talking about John Legend, we're talking about the person, right? We don't be talking about John Legend's music, do we?
No, I'm talking about the music, man. I don't know the person.
I thought we were talking about how he's a phony ass. Okay, never mind. Okay, I thought we were talking about
John Legend, and I like John Legend. Once again, it's one of my favorite R&B albums of that era. But the fact that he once was soulful and he started making music that Caucasian people may play at weddings. That's just the reality.
Nah, see, my problem ain't that he make music for white people. My problem is that he be gallivanting with the white people and fade gay to gallivant with the white people. Don't be gallivanting with the white people after you fade gay. Don't look good. I don't like it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't think Jay lost his flow. I just think that the conversational flow sounds dated now. Just like how that Chuck D / Kumo D energy in the flow got dated for a bit.
I like that.
Huh. I guess that's... Do you think that God did verse is... I mean, his flow's all over the place. It's conversational. It's not in pocket.
My verse just okay.
Yeah. Ed with the super chat says, what 30-year-old rap vet doing Nas numbers today? Premiering top 10 on Billboard. Nas is one of... I said Nas is one of one. Excuse me. He ain't selling like Drake, Cole, and K-Dot today, and that's perfectly fine. Antonio with the super chat says, Coop, Nas fans support when we buy his vinyl and stream the music and sell out Madison Square Garden. Nas fans can't compete with the streaming farms. I think that's a good point, too. There's a lot of people out here cheating, and that's why I brought up the whole fact that Magic didn't get any like major media coverage outside of us and maybe a few others. It lets you know that some of those people who be juicing other people's numbers, it's not happening here. So you're seeing raw numbers. And like I said, with that DaBaby situation, the fact that they were saying DaBaby's sales dropped the way it supposedly did, that lets me know something fishy's going on. Because DaBaby ain't just lose support like that.
So, yeah, okay. So we gonna start cheating? I mean, that's what I heard. So
There you go.
Cheating? Is that what you're saying? We gonna start cheating too? Is that what we doing?
I'm just saying that, what you
What
saw
are we doing about it?
What I'm saying is what you saw in the Garden is real stuff. Whereas these numbers that come in and get posted by certain publications may not be as real as we think. Because you could see, you could feel what the Garden was. And he was playing nothing but records that recently came out. So it wasn't like, I mean, he did a few, throwback records, but for the most part, it was all new energy, and you felt that energy in there. People traveled miles and miles and countries to see that. So that's real stuff. I guess I'm just saying that maybe we can't get as caught up in what's being publicized because obviously The publicity is skewed. Jay Short with the super chat says, "That's not fair, Mike. The Dream and Music Soul Child aren't always in key either, and no one says anything because the music is good." Well, okay, let me address that. I don't view the Dream as a singer first. I view him as a writer first.
Me
And
too.
yes, Music Soul Child do be kind of falling in and out of, key or whatnot. But he stays in his arena. He doesn't go out there trying to some people, jumping out of bounds, man. At least you be jumping out of her key a few times. That's just, my opinion. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Mike, you know how to flow. So how Jay off on God did? I don't know if
Didn't say
it's
it was off.
off, but it's
Didn't say
just
it was
more of
off.
that
It's not that
conversational
good.
flow. What's
It's
that?
not that good. It's not that he's off. It's that it's not that good.
The lyrics
Just
are always going to be there because he's a lyricist. You know what I mean? But I do feel like the flow is kind of lost. Prove me wrong, man. I want to hear Jay over a Timberland beat, man. I know Leroy got the connect. Throw a Timberland beat up there with the difficult flows and all that, and I want to hear how in pocket he is in 2023.
how about this? You heard the beat that Nas was just riding, the hit beat.
Yeah.
You think Jay can jump in that pocket right now?
I don't think so right now. I mean, because even with Ape shit, that was 2018. He was still he wasn't really that in pocket on Ape shit like that. Hadn't listened to Ape shit in a minute, but I'm gonna go back and listen after this show. But I just remember, I don't remember and again, I don't want to judge people by their prime, but Jay is a flow master, man. And so when I think about flow and him being a 10 there, I think about, is that your chick type of, sliding in a record. You know what I mean?
He's what I like to call. He's one of our greatest game time performers.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes his flow gets sicker as the situation will call for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. The Success record with Nas. It's like, no, that might be his sickest flow on the whole album. But it's because Nas is on the record. How's his flow?
It's funny.
Gangster?
It's funny you said that. I would go even further. He did that on what I think is his possibly worst album, Holy Grail. The record with Nas.
The BBC joint.
Yeah, he's flowing on there. Yeah, it's like, okay, Nas is on the record. You flowing now. Like, he came in that bitch like, what you know about going out head west, red legs, TVs, all up in their headrest. Makes niggas in Madison Square Garden. 50 million sold it. We still catching charges. I was like, that's Jay.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's the thing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, okay, like, this is what I'm saying. The best flow on American Gangster is the record with Nas. The best flow on Magna Carta, Hurley Grail. The record with, so.
I don't know, man. I like the Rock Boys, man. That might be the best flow for me on American
No. That is not his best. See, you're with, okay. Flow-wise, on verse 1, 2, and 3, on the Rock Boys, there's no real change, Mike. On Success, this motherfucker switches up his flow like every few bars. It's different.
Let your head out, baby.
Impeccable. I'm not to be fucked with. Shit. Let that bitch breathe. I'm way too important to be talking about extorting. Asking me for a portion like asking for a coffin. Broad daylight, I off your light switch. You're not too bright. Good night. Long kiss. Bye-bye. My reply. Blah. No, he ain't flowing like that nowhere on American Gangster except that record. You know it.
That's a dope flow, though. Let your head down, baby. I just hit a score. Pick any place in the planet. Pick a shore. Take what the Forbes figured and figure more. Because they forgot to account what I did with the raw. Yeah, he's not rapping like that anymore, man. Pick a time, let's pick apart some stores. Pick a weekend for figure fours. I figure frauds never hit a lick before. And they ain't seen the they ain't seen the number of the things come across. Right. Kill
Put your hand out the window, feel the force.
Snap it. Incredible. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, respectfully, ain't no one listening to God did anymore. 80 bars of absolute mid-level J. And it wasn't worth the CNN coverage. Then or My Time Now, shaking my head. That was
Hey, real
MSNBC.
talk. The Ghost of Soldier Slim verse is so much better than that verse.
Ghost of Soldier
The
Slim
verse,
versus hard.
the
But I
verse
think
on
that's where, to me, that's where
hold
the
on.
off kilter flow started on that project.
The neck and wrist verse is harder.
Neck and wrist versus hard. Where people were allegedly saying that he was addressing some of the things that I've said. Jonathan with the super chat says Jay probably wants to drop an album until he's 60. He said Jay probably won't. I guess he mean won't drop an album until he's 60. I mean, at that point, all right. Let's just clear the air. Let's just ask a blanket question. Do you think Jay-Z is gonna drop another album?
I think the pressure might be getting too big at this point, Mike.
Think this is getting in Dr. Dre territory?
It's becoming insurmountable. Yeah. Too much time is passing. And here is the thing, and here's where he can suffer a pitfall. Well, he's known for his numbers. You know what I'm saying? And if he don't do numbers, Mike, ooh, motherfucking we. You know what type of problems be out here outside?
Oh, he's gonna do numbers. They got farms. They got
I hate
farms
to
to make sure that.
I hate to be. This is what I'm saying. Like, first of all, you've been outed about the whole title farm thing, so you can't go and commit murder twice. For one,
why not? People forgot.
Ain't nobody forgot. I'm gonna remind them. Title was out there stealing strings for him and his wife. How about that? Everybody know it in the streets and in the industry. He's been stealing strings for a long time. Ain't nobody even stressing that because he was Jay way before he started stealing strings. So ain't nobody stressing that.
I mean, everybody does it.
Huh. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, apparently.
Right.
You know how he is about trying. This is one trying, MF. But realistically, Mike, he's used a lot of strategies and ploys to sell his records. Remember the whole like Nokia or Samsung thing for Holy Grail?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with 444 wasn't 444. Didn't they?
444 did something exclusively with Tidal, I remember.
Right.
I think what you were talking about with Holy Grail, that was an Android thing where you downloaded the app ahead of time and you were going to get the album early or something. And so for every download, count it as a sale or something like that.
See, this is before we even understood how those things worked. Him and his team was on that.
No, for real.
We didn't even know what we was doing. We didn't even know what we was doing by downloading it. We just knew it was Jay and it was the access. So we're like, oh, just give me the access.
Yeah, he just wanted the album, yeah.
Right. So he's like I told you, as far as all the great rappers go, he's the greatest businessman of all the great rappers.
Oh, definitely. It's not even close.
Shit like that is the reason why. But then you start realizing, Mike, it's like, well, when he hasn't used the ploy, pretty much post-Black Album, oh, well, them numbers don't look as good. So
I think when you haven't used the ploy, you look at American Gangster, right? Because even
it didn't do numbers like that.
It didn't, and I think that he thought he was gonna attach. Maybe that was the plan, because they always got a plan. He's gonna attach himself to the movie in that way, but it wasn't really an official soundtrack, and it wasn't something that got the overall support from like the. I don't believe it did. It didn't seem like it got the production support from who made American Gangster? What production company? I forgot. Somebody can look that up real quick. But yeah, I mean,
a colonizer.
But outside of that, yeah, I think American Gangster is about as raw as it gets without having something big attached to it. And that's a movie. You know what I mean? Like Kingdom Comes, its whole ploy was it's the comeback album. Like this is 45 Jordan, like coming out of retirement. Boom. American Gangster was kind of. I think American Gangster was a response to the fact that people really weren't pleased with Kingdom Come, and he wanted to make a hardcore album, but attached it to the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Kingdom Come's not any good for one, but
that's being out of practice, though. Really?
Well, here's what I'm saying. Even with the ploys, Mike, you don't remember the Budweiser commercial with Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Yep, that was Kingdom Come.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no. That's why I'm saying post Black Album, it's either a ploy or a steal to move the numbers. He ain't really moved the numbers like that in a minute either.
You're right. I mean, he's been attaching everything
If
after
it's
the
not,
Black Album.
the only
He's
thing
been
he's done
attaching.
organically is Yay. Yay. If it's not with Yay, it hasn't been organically done in the last 20 years by him. It's either been stolen or it's been some sort of marketing media ploy.
Well, he's
Which
been
is
attaching
fine.
to big brands. You know what I mean? Brands that are just as big as him, if not bigger. Like you said, you got Budweiser on the Kingdom Come thing, right? American Gangster is attaching to a movie. Blueprint 3, obviously there's a lot of hits involved there. That's when Kanye comes back into the fold. That's when you get a lot of big time collaborations. Him and Alicia Keys, him and
Now,
Rihanna. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Now, here's what I will tell you about him and his team and how they work and what I like. They put him in those positions because I'll tell you what, let's
Mm-hmm.
go to his contemporary and sometimes the guy that's considered to be his main competitor. Why hasn't Nas's team done anything involving Ring in any of these KD albums? Like anybody that signs up for Ring automatically gets a, you know what I'm saying? A download, a ultra. You get what I'm saying? Like
I think
Nas is
it's two. I think it's two totally different industries where it doesn't really intersect in that way. I mean, I could see how that will work, but a
you
lot of the things that we're
you attach your star to what they're already attached to. You make it work. That's your job as part of a team. You feel what I'm saying? It's not Nas's job to make the Ring and the music connection work. It's the fucking team's job.
how would you make the Ring and the music connect? I mean, I know we're just kind of going off the cuff here, but
I'll tell you what, Mike. If you give me till Friday, I'll pull up with a full plan for it and show you this.
okay,
Right, give me till Friday. I'll have like a full plan for you.
there it is.
Because it's like too many people are like involved with Ring that know Nas is involved with Ring. It's like, well, let's find a way to connect that dot.
You're right.
That conversation should be had.
Ed with the super chat says Jay's flow peaked on Blueprint 2 in the Black Album era. That's funny you say
Black
that. I
Album.
was just saying that yesterday. I was on the phone with my homeboy Brandon. We were talking about that yesterday, and like you said, Jay is a game time performer, and I feel like his response to everything that was going on with the Ether thing was, I'm just gonna go out here and rap my ass off. And again, I think even there was a plan with that double disc because we all know double disc count twice. He doubled his chances to do numbers. So you can't say numerically, he was affected by Ether, quote unquote, right? Because the numbers will come in and you get the 2.1. They probably merged all those numbers too.
So this is another thing that could be getting done. It's like, I mean, and this is just for me. You know the main reason why I feel like KD4 is being made, Mike, or is going to come out? Because if this run was over or is over, they're doing themselves a great disservice to the fan base and to their numbers by not repackaging these four projects together. I told you it needs to be a King's Disease trilogy package with a plus one, and the plus one is magic. And there's so many ways to market and promote that and brand that. And now, Mike, you're selling all four of the copies at once to the core fan base all over again as collector's items, limited edition. Like, I have a Sign of the Times album that has the original print stickers and posters. That matters to guys like me. It's like, no. My Sign of the Times got the original stickers.
I think I got that right here, yeah.
You got that revamped Sign of the Times. I don't.
I got you.
You're a casual Prince fan, I see. I don't really get down with your kind. You don't even know what stickers I'm talking about. Fuck you. Right. I don't fuck with you. Mike, this is what I mean about how it be serious. Mike, I ordered that vinyl from Denmark. The person I bought it from don't even speak English.
Super fan. That's the fanatic part, right? Leroy Green with the super chat says Jay's album, like Dre, has to challenge the culture. It's not like Nas when he can make anything and you say instantly it's a classic. So Jay has to get in the lab and challenge the culture.
First of all, Jay and Dr. Dre do a lot of things. Challenge the culture is not one of the things. Like that ain't what they do. They don't challenge the culture at anything.
Well, I will say this. I mean, and we don't have a whole lot to kind of build from with Dre because, he has 2 solo albums and we could go on to what he's done for other artists. But I will say this about Dre. his shit is next level. Whether it be, a concept with the headphones, whether it be the Chronic 2001, like when Exhibit said, man, never knew about the next level until Dre did it. Even the Chronic, that shit's next level for 1992. And I mean, like, Jay is great, and Jay's gonna give you some hits, and Jay's gonna give you some music to ride to, but I don't feel like sonically, he's taking everything to that next level. That would be Kanye or something to me.
Nah, Dre doesn't have any more jumps in his body either, and I thought about that. In his physical body, he might be out of jumps, Mike, because I want you to think about this.
I mean, I told people that in 2003. I was like, we're not getting a detox.
No, this is what I mean, though. Boys in the Hood, it sounds nothing like anything else from the West Coast around that time.
Not even 6 in the morning? No?
No. Okay. I don't think so. It sounds ahead of 6 in the morning. Don't you think?
I think it does sound ahead. I mean, yeah, man. That next level
I mean, it's not like ahead by like leaps and bounds, but yeah, it's ahead, Mike. Deep
production-wise, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Deep cover, Mike. Deep cover ahead of everything.
Yeah.
Deep cover ahead of everything. Like,
even Dre Day, man, when you hear that shit come in, and we don't even talk about Dre Day like that. When you hear that shit come in, it's like, nah, man, this is something else. This ain't a regular song. This is not a regular artist. If anybody else makes a song like Dre Day, we'll never stop talking about it. But we expect it from him. His level, it's kind of like the LeBron James thing. Every time he steps on the court, there's a level that we expect from him that we expect from no one. Like
Dre Day is block music too, Mike. That's for the hood. That's for the hood to ride around to.
Yeah. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Jay knows he's being watched as a blueprint, Mike.
I get all that. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't even know how much it really behooves him at this point. Because I think he stands maybe more to lose than there is to gain, i.e. Dr. Dre with the Compton album. That's why I was bringing Dre back up, too. Is that look what happened with Dre with Compton. Compton got us to stop asking for detox.
Well, this is the thing. And even with the Compton album.
And I don't mean that in a complimentary way.
I understand. What I was going to say, though, and I've always said this about the detox, when Dre drops an album, it's for a purpose. The Chronic launched Death Row, and essentially 2001 launched Aftermath as a label, you know what I mean, and brought all those elements together to make the Aftermath brand as strong as it had become. The Compton album was for the NWA soundtrack, really. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't the NWA soundtrack, but it was for the NWA movie. Without that movie, that Compton album doesn't come out. There's no point for Dre to put out an album. He's not out here trying to launch an artist. He has his headphone brand. Like, his headphone brand is the hip-hop version of Jordan brand. Niggas is going to buy Beats by Dre anyway. He ain't got to make no records to support that. And I think Jay has gotten to that point now where really for him to get out of his house or get in the studio, it has to be a purpose. And I don't think that Jay-Z has a purpose to make an album.
That's what I mean. How does it behoove him to do any of this stuff? Because it's like, I'd be lying to you. I told you this, Mike. I thought Nas was the greatest MC of all time before he did any of this. This is all icing on the cake shit in my mind. It's just the most beautiful cake I've ever seen layered this late in the game. But it's like, no, I felt that way before. But it's like, oh, ain't no question now. So, right. and that's what I mean is like, I don't know if he stands to gain. Because here's the thing. The only thing that I really think he stands to gain is that he gets to move up one spot from 2 to 1, maybe. And I don't think he can do that.
That's a long climb, man. Like, that would have been an easier climb with just KD1 out there, right? Then he could make a Jay-Z level album and be back at that number 1. But you got 4 mountains to climb, man.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Mike, it's a 4 mountain minimum.
Yeah.
Because it's not like those projects. Like, those 4 projects are better than his last 4 projects. Like,